This is a hat trick
podcast.
Oh, lovely.
Welcome to In the News This Week, the podcast from some of the team who've worked on Have I Got News For You?
I'm Emerald Paston.
I'm Mike Rayment.
I'm Queenie Miller.
And I'm Jack Harris.
We'll be taking you through the big and not so big stories in the news this week when the TV show can't.
Think of it like this. If the main show is $1 trillion worth of Ukrainian minerals, then we're one of those packets of salt you get down your local cafe.
Yummy.
Get it salty. That's what we want.
Or in Salt and Shake, but that wouldn't fit the joke very well.
Yeah. I haven't had those in ages.
Oh, they exist.
Do they still exist?
Yeah, I got some the other day and I was really excited. And then they were really annoying. I just was like, oh yeah, this is why they didn't take off.
Not very convenient.
Making you do the work, basically.
Yeah. How dare they? Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
I should say straight away, we're short of a person. We're a Queenie down.
Yeah. I miss her already.
Yeah. Certainly that malevolent presence is lacking.
We need it.
So if any listeners don't know, as well as being a researcher on Have I Got News For You, Queenie's also a top live comedy producer. So she's off at a gig seeing some live comedy. But as is tradition on the podcast, she sent us a voice note, which we can play in now.
Hello, everyone. How are you? That's great.
Oh.
I'm deeply saddened to be absent on such a fascism-heavy week. However, I'm thrilled to be bringing you a roundup of CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference.
Nice.
That happened in Washington, D.C. this week. Specifically, Brits Abroad edition. Two of our very own best and dimmest politicians, Liz Truss and Nigel Farage, gave speeches. Now, while I did watch this conference so that you don't have to, I can't recommend Liz Truss's speech enough. It's like, it's Pork Market's the sequel, Empire Strikes Back. It's so many jokes don't work. It's incredible. She was mainly talking about wokeism and green extremism, and in quotes, Britain isn't working, which is funny because neither are you, mate. And Farage stuck to his classic freedom of speech bit. He said, in Britain, you can't say anything because you might get put in prison. He's obviously living proof that that's not true. And Reform actually this week managed to provide further proof of that by sending quite a torrent of abuse to independent MP Zara Sultana, who clapped back at it with quite a devastating burn, to be honest. I thought it was really funny. Lee Anderson headed the charge and tweeted, note to @Zara Sultana, meet the future, with a picture of the 5 Reform MPs. And Sultana replied, the future, ? It looks like the cast of Cocoon. Devastating. I think that's so funny. If anyone knows the 80s film, incredible work. But from Liz Truss's gags that don't land to Zara Sultana's that do, I have one more question for you guys. Do we want Elon and his nerd army of muskrats examining the British deep state?
I loved that phrase.
Do we? Have a good podcast.
Thanks, Queenie. That's nice.
Wow.
I was
Great
excited
summary.
that when she didn't mention the nerd army of muskrats, I was excited to talk about that as well. So I'm
She's
glad
stealing
she
your
brought it
thunder.
up.
I can rely on Queenie, even in her absence, to bring in Liz Truss to the pod. See, that's the malevolent presence I was talking about. Liz Truss. Did that make many waves over in the States, Jack?
It's funny because they'd cut to the crowd of who's watching, and you could sort of see that a lot of Americans wearing MAGA hats who clearly were just like, we have absolutely no idea who this mad woman is, but
Oh, no.
you know what? We'll clap when she says stuff like nerd army of muskrats. But it was
Which
a weird...
I hate to say, that phrase does sound to me like some kind of faction that you'd have in Warhammer, a nerd army of muskrats.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm very sorry to say that, but it really does.
Do you know what? It would. I mean, factually, just so you know, Emerald, it would be, they're called Skaven. So there is already a rat faction. Well, technically Age of Sigmar.
The rat faction. Jesus Christ. Here we go. It's actually the rat faction that we have.
Yeah.
Here we go. Not actually expensive. Emerald makes a joke about there being a rat faction, and Mike's like, yeah, of course there is.
Actually is. Yeah.
Well, segueing seamlessly from that, the Christian Democratic Union, the CDU, have basically won the German election. So we're going to have a new chancellor who's going to be Friedrich Merz.
Friedrich Merz. Big fan of this because I've seen both the UK and the American side of things where they're like, who is Friedrich Merz? And they do they'll throw in some interesting facts.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds like a pretty cool guy.
Does he?
He's a big fan of the States.
Oh, is he?
He's travelled there over 100 times by his own count. So he's a massive American fan.
This is a German Farage then.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And he has 2 private jets that he flies himself because he loves flying.
Oh, really?
Which he's got a load of stick for, hasn't he? Yeah, because they're already saying, he's out of touch with the middle class or the working class.
We thought Rishi Sunak was bad and he just had a big house. This guy has 2 private jets.
The thing the Times had about him on Monday was they said he was an alpha male with a taste for theatrics and disruption.
Wow.
Is that dating profile? I mean, a horrible dating profile. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But
Well, he's got about 50 million matches, so he's doing something right.
That's right.
and there's a lot of swipes right as well.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not sure about some of the swipes, some of the action on the swipes. It's just love. It's just expressing love, right?
They're just giving their heart out to him.
But yeah, he had the highest voter turnout. And do you remember last week that I had a story about them using beer and sausages to get people to vote?
Of course.
Yeah. Is that what's done it?
I think it had a part to play, yeah.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think that story was from the east of Germany, which is where a lot of the votes for the AfD, the far-right party, were coming in from.
The map is wild. Have you seen the map?
Yeah, it's like split.
I love a political map.
You've got 3 distinct parts, but it's just totally split. Like, it's kind of wild how much East Germany has gone for the AfD.
It's quite something, isn't it, when putting myself in the shoes of someone like a left-leaning voter in Germany, when you're sort of going, we're relieved that it's just the right-wing guys who are in,
Yeah.
not the
Far-right.
the AfD.
Yeah.
Although Musk was quick to congratulate the AfD on coming second.
Yeah.
I guess he likes hanging out with number 2s.
Oh my God. And then with the AfD, so they doubled their vote share. And I saw, this was an article a while ago, and I don't know if it's still controversial there, but one of the co-leaders, Alice Weidel, she probably doesn't actually even live in Germany. So she's a real nationalist, but she lives in Switzerland with her partner.
Wow.
And I think her actual constituency address is her parents' address.
That's amazing.
It's almost as if a leader in the UK were to spend most of their time in America doing American things, right? It's that sort of vibe.
Can you imagine that? I can't imagine that. That'd be mental.
Also, no one who ever has gone to Switzerland has ever had anything to hide. There's definitely nothing dodgy there.
No, it's always been good connotations between Germany and Switzerland generally, isn't it? So
Alice Weidel, she said that Elon Musk had messaged her.
Well, you've got to watch out for that because he's going to be trying to knock her up anytime soon with the way that goes, according to the news.
Oh, yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
But then her co-leader, Tino Trapala, jumped in and said, he'd also got some extra messages from people, including 2 former Bayern Munich players, which is just very cringe.
Oh, wow. That's really,
So they're competing about...
Who got the most messages?
Exactly.
Another little fact for you about our new big name on campus, Friedrich Merz.
Yeah.
He was an early smoker and drinker prone to disciplinary problems as a child.
Interesting.
So, I mean, it's no running through a field of wheat, but that takes some beating on the wild child score.
Unless the smoking and drinking was as a child.
If he's like a, 6-year-old having a ciggy out the back, then that's pretty hardcore.
Although France, that'd be a late adopter.
Well, talk about France, right? I saw a headline that made me laugh. It's such an English approach to Germany and France in that. It's the Telegraph. It said, Germany faces its worst nightmare, becoming France. Like, it's really dug out Germany and France in one headline.
That's amazing.
I really like that they laid out in the Telegraph. Like, I think it's any opportunity to show that another country is in as much shit as we are.
Yeah.
Because they were like, it's got a struggling economy, defence overhaul needed, haven't got access to cheap Russian gas anymore, impending US tariffs, dire need of modernisation, where they chucked in this little dig where they said it's a land where the fax machine is not yet extinct. That's unnecessary dig. Ageing population. It's bad, but I did think at least they've got their kind of sense of humour to fall back on anyway. That's good, isn't it? So.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Germany, is it?
Not really.
It's going to be interesting to see which side it falls down, because I was reading, apparently Europe is divided, so all its leaders are either pessimists or optimists.
Oh, really?
So do you know who's in the optimist camp?
I was going to say,
Macron?
what are we classing Keir Starmer as?
He's an optimist.
Is he?
Really?
He's an optimist, yeah, because him and Macron are in the we can persuade Trump.
Yeah, they're flying over there.
Right.
And they think that the best tactic is to work with Trump and you can change his mind, or at least get him to keep some money, some troops in Europe to help with Ukraine. And then there's the pessimists who are like, we need to start digging the trenches now. Basically, I don't know where Merz is going to fall. He said he will do everything in his power to conserve this good transatlantic relationship. Although that's despite previously having said his absolute priority would be to help Europe achieve independence from the USA.
Wow.
That's a Keir Starmer level of fence sitting.
It's so true.
As we record on Monday, Trump's actually having this press conference with Macron now. And Trump said that the Ukraine war could end within weeks and that Putin would definitely accept European peacekeepers in Ukraine. Trump seems very confident, which is always when I start to worry.
Yeah, same. And also, what does he say? The war will end.
Yeah, he said the war will end.
It's not quite specific enough for me.
No.
And Macron apparently also interrupted Trump to correct him.
Really?
Was it when Trump said un and he went no? He went, like my French teacher used to do. Was it like that?
Exactly like that, mate.
He said, no. Le bibliothèque.
What did you say, Mike?
No, le bibliothèque.
It's actually la bibliothèque.
Oh, see?
I'm not even joking.
See, you had to interrupt. I just did it to make a point, actually, because I do French good.
Of course.
Sorry, Jack. Yeah, why did he interrupt him?
Basically, Trump was kind of saying that Europe's like loaning the money to Ukraine, and Macron apparently reached over to Trump and interrupted and was like, no, we paid the money, which is quite bold of him, I guess.
Yeah.
But there was also, I quite like, obviously, you know, Trump is on the ball, he's with it in all occasions, and he tweeted about the result. Great day for Germany, congratulated the Conservative CDU party, which is not the party he's kind of like been saying they should vote for. It wasn't the AFD. And all his MAGA supporters have gone, no, you've said congratulations to the wrong party. But in his thing, he said, it's a great day for Germany and for the United States of America under the leadership of a gentleman named Donald J. Trump. Which I love, referring to yourself as in third person.
The gentleman named.
A gentleman named Donald J. Trump is absolutely great. And a couple of people pointed out that actually the party he was congratulating was the party of Angela Merkel, who he notoriously called that bitch.
Oh my God.
Although I do like that Merkel got him back at the end of last year in her memoir, in like a perfectly calculated way by saying that she mistook Trump for someone completely normal, which is such a way to clap back at someone. I absolutely love it.
Wow.
I thought he wasn't
That's
a dick.
great. Welcome back to In the News This Week. Now it's time for round two, where we've each brought a story from the past week which we think would work best for round two of the TV show. Jack, what you got for us?
My story is about California getting one step closer to officially recognising Bigfoot.
As what?
He's going to get sworn in as Defence Secretary.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Basically, this Californian Democrat has put forward a bill. So it's good to see they're really challenging, you know, the Trump administration and concentrating on the important things.
Yeah.
But they're putting forward a bill to make Bigfoot the state's official cryptid.
Wow.
So it's like...
I love that, actually.
Official what?
So cryptid, I don't know what a cryptid was. It's an animal, being or entity that's not been proven to exist, but has been reported by eyewitnesses or other sources of evidence.
Oh, wow.
So, for example, a naturally charismatic politician is an example of a cryptid.
Or a politician who swims.
Oh, yes.
People say they've seen it, but it's not true. It's not true.
Yeah.
Basically, they're putting it forward as it being like the official state, well, made-up monster, basically, I think is a better term for it than cryptid. Bit of controversy, though, because according to the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organisation, very important organisation, they actually say that there's only been 463 sightings in California of Bigfoot, whereas Washington State, 724.
Oh.
So who should really be having it as their state cryptid is the question.
Well, it's just seen it's been spotted going around the Smithsonian and like
Yeah,
taking
but-
pictures outside the White House.
No, it's the other Washington state. It's the,
Oh, sorry, not
Up
DC.
California.
But I didn't realise the states all have like different official things. So California has an official state grass.
He just reports everyone.
Yeah, someone's snitching in the prison.
What do you think the official state fife and drum band is?
Is it the California Fife and Drum Band?
It is California Consolidated Drum Band. Well done, Mike. Very good work.
Hey, I know my Fife and Drum bands.
So I'm going to play a quick game of cryptid or cryptidn't.
Oh,
Oh no, he crypt didn't.
I'm going to give you the name of a cryptid and you've got to tell me if it's one that I've made up or if it's a real one.
okay.
The first one I'm going to say is King Otter.
I feel like it's like a king rat. You know how king rats have all their tails
Yeah.
connected? I feel like this is an otter version of that.
So you think it's real or not?
I think it's real. I don't think you'd come up with king.
I trust Emerald. She's smart.
King otter is a real thing. It is an Irish,
Emerald, no.
Scottish, legendary creature, which is supposed to be either both dog and otter, although sometimes described as half dog, half fish.
Wow.
So,
And in what way is our royal family related to him?
I think it's the first cousin of Andrew and Charles, I think.
Oh, I see.
That's where Andrew gets his ability to not sweat from.
Okay, next up, not dog.
Is that just a cat?
I feel like that's a cartoon.
I think that's a food that you get in America. That sounds like you go into a
like
convenience
a tofu
store.
hot dog.
Yeah, I have a nut dog. That's how they talk in America.
So you're saying Crip didn't?
We're saying Crip didn't.
You're right. But there is such a thing as a not deer, which is basically seen in the United States in certain places around the Appalachian Mountains, where for all intents and purposes, it looks like a deer. And then when you take a picture and look at it, it just looks weird, and it's got a kind of like long legs and weird face, and it's got
Is
more
that
of a
because-
modern one, to be honest.
I've been to the Appalachian Mountains and they're very creepy. So
Are
yeah.
they?
Yeah. I stayed in a cabin in the woods there and I've never slept less in my life.
Oh my God.
And that was without even knowing about the existence of not deer.
And finally, the Loveland Frogman.
Is that just Nigel Farage?
It sounds like a name, Loveland Frogman. I would believe that there's someone in America that just has that name.
Yeah, it sounds like a golfer. They always have good
There you
names,
go.
American golfer. Here is Steve Loveland Frogman with the putt.
So are we saying it is or it isn't? What are we saying?
We're saying it's a golfer, so Crip didn't.
Crip did. It is. It is the legendary humanoid frog,
I
basically.
told you it's Farage.
It looks very weird. It basically just looks like a frog on hind legs.
I told you it's Farage.
It's about 4 foot tall.
Yeah.
It's Nigel Farage.
Jack, I would say normally I feel, when we do our round twos, I feel like I come out of them feeling more intelligent. But I'd say in this case, it's the absolute opposite. But I've really had a great time. Okay, and my story this week is about a man in France who's won a scratch card jackpot of €500,000, but he can't get his hands on the money. Have you seen this?
Oh no, it's not stuck in a landfill again.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm doing similar stories. So this is Jean David from Toulouse.
Ooh.
Sorry, what was his name, Mike?
Jean David.
That was great.
I know,
Thank
I
you.
wanted to hear it again. I was impressed.
It's because I didn't have to say le or la. John David from Toulouse. He had his credit card stolen from a car in Toulouse.
Yeah.
Before he could stop it, he discovered €50 had been spent at a sort of, a tobacco, so like a local corner shop.
Yeah.
So he went down there to speak to the owner. And it turns out the two guys that come in, these two homeless looking guys apparently, spent €50 on scratch cards, scratched one off and won the jackpot.
Wow.
Realised they'd won €500,000, went crazy and then disappeared. And the guy thought something fishy was going on and remembered them. So anyway, they haven't come forward to claim or try and claim the prize. So at the moment, there are two homeless guys going around France with this €500,000 winning scratch card. So they've got it, but they haven't claimed it. And Jean David, he's gone into the national press and gone on radio and said, if these guys come forward, I'll drop any charges and I'll split the money with them to get them to come forward because there's a deadline.
Oh, yeah, the classic trusting move. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
No, don't worry. I'll share the money.
I'll be waiting here in this big cage.
Yeah. Come and meet me. You just have to walk across that suspiciously netted floor.
But we know the French are optimists. Maybe they'll go through with it.
Yeah, but the problem is it's a ticking time bomb. So there's a 30-day limit on claiming scratch cards. So they've got till the 5th of March. So he's frantically trying to track them down.
It does sound like another Newport landfill, doesn't it?
I'm a sucker for stories like this. Maybe I'm just really mean and bitter and love it when people have the promise of lots of money and can't get to it. I don't know. That's my story that I enjoyed this week. So hopefully we'll get an update on that in the next couple of weeks.
That would be
Great.
good.
Finally, Emerald, what story have you got for us this week?
Instead of a round two, I have an odd one out for you guys.
I love it.
So I wonder if you guys might be able to work this out. So your options are emus, Birkenstock sandals, beards worn by New York Yankees players, who I'm sure Jack knows personally now, and Thatcher's cider. Those are your 4 options. So which one's the odd one out?
I know Birkenstocks were in the news this week because a court in Germany has ruled that they aren't artwork, which is
Correct.
the correct way. Nothing that involves wearing sandals and socks should be considered art.
Well, the Yankees, they've now been allowed to grow their beards out, which is a great story. So it's been a rule since the 70s where if you join the Yankees, you can't have a beard.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, like, if you got traded to the Yankees and you had a beard, you had to shave it off.
That's wild.
So maybe emus have become...
They're allowed to fly now? They always could fly, but they just were never allowed to.
They weren't allowed to, yeah.
And now someone's told them, look, guys, you can actually fly.
What was the fourth one?
Thatcher's cider.
It's copyright of the Margaret Thatcher Foundation.
It is actually a copyright thing, Mike.
No, is it?
Birkenstocks have been copied. Thatchers have been copied. Someone's created a bird that's too similar to an emu and they've got to kill it.
It's the official cryptid bird that they've created.
I give up.
No, I don't know.
You guys are so close. The answer is they have all had recent judgments made in their favour, apart from Birkenstocks, which lost a court case where they were trying to categorise them as works of art. So, yeah, Birkenstocks, Germany's top court, ruled that they can't be classified and protected as art. So that was not a ruling in their favour. And apparently the decision would have been made sooner, but the judge kept flip-flopping.
Nice.
Very good.
Emus have long been regarded as the world's dumbest bird.
Have they?
Apparently so.
I love you
But
said with such authority. Yeah, they're thick.
That's what this article said.
We're like, yep, we totally agree with that.
Are we just making things up on this podcast now?
I promise you, researchers have found out that they're not the dumbest.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
Ostriches are. They've found that emus have promising signs of problem-solving skills. So they gave them a simple puzzle at the University of Bristol, and the birds had to solve it to gain access to food. And emus moved the whole in the most efficient direction towards food in 90% of cases.
Aye.
And ostriches didn't manage to do it at all. And the scientists noted that this particular set of ostriches did not innovate, which sounds exactly like something Lord Sugar says on The Apprentice. So I love that as a phrase.
Team Ostrich haven't innovated.
Exactly.
So they're all sitting in that little cafe in the rain.
Yes. But emus, so yeah, that's a judgment in emu's favour. They're not the stupidest bird. The beards of New York Yankees baseball players are now allowed. The writer of the article that I was reading reckons that they're doing this because they're not doing so well in their league. And so they need to attract better players to the team and not put them off with this beard rule.
Well, it's kind of weird. It's like they got to the playoffs last year. They did actually get quite far. But they are citing the fact that, like, players might not turn up to play for them if they had this rule, which they've had for years.
Yeah.
Which I think there was one player that instigated it because he's becoming like a free agent at the end of the season. They were like, I would potentially consider my position if I
could have my beard.
Yeah.
Wow.
I like the idea that there's like reports like paparazzi getting pictures of him with stubble going, oh, he might be leaving.
And then the final ruling made in something's favour is Thatcher's cider. They won a trademark appeal against Aldi over their cloudy lemon cider. And the Court of Appeal ruled that Aldi infringed their branding with a very similar looking can of cider, which I thought was Aldi's whole deal.
That's their vibe.
That is their whole deal.
Apparently you can't do it with cider.
I love that they can't put that up, but they've got like cans of like Frosters and like calling. Finally, it's time for round 3, the missing words round. I'm going to read out some headlines from the past week, and you just need to fill in the missing words. First up, what becoming increasingly popular with young people?
Is it an acceptance of a shorter lifespan?
Whoa.
I mean, I know I like a bleak headline.
God, I'm trying to get into Queenie's mindset. I'm trying to think of
That's a very Queenie answer.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? I read this today. Dropping household objects onto your feet for TikTok clout.
What?
Is that an actual thing?
Yeah, a trend where people dropping stuff on their feet, and basically doctors have had to say probably not a good idea to do that. Which the fact they've even got to put it as a headline is mad. But these young people, that's probably why Queenie's not actually here, because she dropped a toaster on her foot.
She's had to pretend she's gone to a gig.
Yeah.
She's just sitting in A&E in Peckham.
I think Queenie's so tough it wouldn't make a dent.
Yeah.
I think she'd get through it.
She'd have to buy a new toaster.
The answer, actually, it's more mundane than that, is fishing becomes increasingly popular with young people. There's a rise of fishing influencers. According to the Angling Trust this week, thousands of Gen Zers are picking up rods and permits as a way of cutting down screen time and anxiety, inspired by celebrity anglers. like Manchester City's Phil Foden. And then in the papers, there's just loads of pictures of Phil Foden holding fish.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I have lots of people I love dearly and are good friends with who like fishing, but I think it is the most boring thing you can possibly do. It is just dreadful. I did it about 3 times and I caught 2 eels and it was just crap. Hated it. So there's my hot take on fishing.
You're showing your age, Jack.
Next up, man released from prison after 30 years says biggest surprise on the outside is what?
Greg's vegan sausage roll, maybe? I'm only about 4 years too late, but there you go.
Sonia's still on EastEnders. So I'm just thinking of things that are like current now that were then.
Yeah, that's good.
I guess it was the 90s.
The thing is, I'm saying all the things that are going through my head are things as if he's like been stuck in a dark room. Like I was just saying, there's not flying cars. It's like, well, we definitely would know about that. Like, still got papers and stuff.
That'd be great though if you were a prison guard and you said to the prisoners, "All right, just gonna go home, lads. I'll see you tomorrow. Just gonna get in my flying car."
Great or sadistic, Mike?
And then they look out the window just so you get into your car because they can definitely see.
I mean, I've put a bit more thought into it than that. Obviously, I'd have to have a mirrors on the bottom of the car, so it was like an illusion.
Oh, nice! Yeah.
And I'd make the noises of a flying car.
This is Mike's version of the Stanford prison experiment.
Yeah. Far, far more idiotic than me. No, the answer is man released from prison after 30 years says biggest surprise on the outside is everyone is constantly looking at their phones. Yeah. And this is American Gordon Cordiero. He was convicted of murder and he's had it overturned thanks to new evidence.
And then he got put straight back in jail for giving such a basic take.
It says it came out, he went to his family, and then after that he went to Costco. So I don't know if that would have been the order of things I'd have done.
That's a bit rude that he's gone home and visited his family after 30 years in prison and they're just all on their phones.
No wonder he went to Costco.
Yeah. You got to speak to the cashier at least.
We actually posted this missing word on our social media channels, and congratulations to Watcher Mark on Twitter who made us laugh with their response when they said man released from prison after 30 years says biggest surprise on the outside is the DFS sale is still on. Excellent.
It's great.
And finally, flight delayed after pilot what?
Can I tell you an actual true story? Me and my friends were waiting for a flight in Romania and we could see the plane through our window at the gate and the pilots were arguing, like having a proper massive argument, like almost fighting. One of them stormed off and slammed the door. And so we had to wait, and they tannoyed and said that they are just getting a new pilot to fly the plane. So anyway, then me and my friends went wandering around the airport. We saw this man in a pilot's uniform that looked lost. We said, "Oh, are you here for the flight back to London?" He said, "Yes." So we showed him to the gate and then he got on the plane. That was just the weirdest flight I've ever taken.
I would not have got on that plane.
I know.
As long as he hadn't just walked out of the Weatherspoons.
Didn't seem like it.
That's
and he
good.
had the uniform, so...
What, flight delayed after pilot?
Ask for directions? No, that's not the answer.
Yeah, ask directions. Leaves the handbrake on. Ooh, bit fun.
No, it's flight delayed after pilot got bitten by a tarantula in the cockpit.
No.
Oh, I did read this. But it was a stowaway tarantula, wasn't it?
Yeah,
No way.
happened last Friday on a flight from Dusseldorf to Madrid. And this is my favourite bit of the article. The flight was delayed while they fumigated the plane, but the spider was not found. And then the flight carried on. Can you imagine you got to get on a plane knowing there's a spider who's
No thanks.
likes to have a bit of a chew on people.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping from that headline that the cockpit is the location of the incident and not anything else. Thank you for listening to In the News This Week. If you've enjoyed this episode, please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
For updates on the show, make sure you're following Have I Got News For You on Instagram, TikTok and Twitter.
You can also get in touch with us by emailing podcasts@hattrick.com. That's Hattrick with 2 T's.
Make sure you're followed or subscribed to the podcast wherever you're listening to it now, and we'll see you here for next week's episode. Bye.
Bye. Oh, yeah. Ooh la la.
In the News This Week is presented by Jack Harris, Queenie Miller, Emerald Paston and Mike Rayment. The producer is Diggory Waite. The executive producer is Claire Broughton. And the music is by Big George. In the News This Week is a Hattrick podcast.